videos. And I still barely have any subscribers, but that doesn't matter, because I'm having fun. What's up, y'all? Welcome to Thorgorath Vlogs episode 10. And to celebrate me having 10 videos thus far, I thought we might take some time out of the concerts and do something a little mundane. I present to you my film collection. There's more where that came from. As you all know, I've been into entertainment since I was little, like a zealot. Throughout my hard times at public school, entertainment and its escapism just helped me through some really rough times. But anyway, here we are. There's almost all my Blu-rays. Let us partake in showcasing my nerdism for entertainment mediums. In particular, film right now. Anyway, let's get started here. 28 days later. I remember when I saw this back in the theater back in 2002, and I was entrenched by the fast-moving visuals, the cinematography, and from there on out, I fell in love with Danny Boyle as a filmmaker. This is kind of cheesy. This is Sparta! But that's why we love it. Underrated James Cameron classic, sci-fi adventure going underwater. The precursor to Zombieland. Relaxing Disney nature documentary. Why should I even need to explain how much of a classic this is? Two sci-fi classics, and I bet you this one was the precursor to first-person shooter games. We both know how much D. Snyder loves this one. This is a classic teen comedy. And of course, it unfortunately inadvertently set the template to follow where every fucking body copied it. Yeah, I'm looking at you, American Pie. Haven't really watched this yet, but I still have heard many good things about it, so can't wait to get to it. First movie of the Marvel collection. Yeah, they're all alphabetized in case you numbnuts didn't notice. Underrated third movie in the Evil Dead trilogy. Oh boy. Yeah, this one has generated quite a ton of controversy, hasn't it? It's discount Fern Gully, Pocahontas, and Dances with Bulls. I can see why people would think that personally. After all, admittedly, yeah, I agree, it's kind of style over substance, but the substance is just enough. And this is a cutting-edge film, and I respect it, at least in the visual department. This is when the Marvel Cinematic Universe really got into high gear. Can you remember how many times you watched this film when it came out? Uh-oh, I'm missing Age of Ultron. Yeah, well, looking back, that one wasn't really all that great. But I do have part 1 of the grand finale and the even better part 2. With the arrival of Endgame, the Marvel Cinematic Universe has officially made its mark on cinematic history. I don't care if it's nerdy. Classic little superhero movie here, even though it's not necessarily perfect. Jack Nicholson's Joker is entertaining, but he's very cartoony. He's basically Cesar Romero's Joker, just with a little psychopath topping added on. And yeah, Batman is kind of a secondary character in this. But I mean, hey, it was 1989. You take what you could get. This was a big breakthrough in terms of superhero movies back then. Oh, Danny Elfman score. Perfection. Another Disney classic. The castle battle scene at the end is super hilarious, all while at the same time tragic. Also got the adaptation of one of the best known Batman stories ever in the late 80s Renaissance with Alan Moore and all of them, even though I know Alan Moore didn't write this, but still. Modern day avant-garde art house cinema. The Marvel movie that everyone went apeshit over because of, you know, liberalisms and politics and all that nowadays and yada yada yada. Whatever, I enjoyed it. Darren Aronofsky manages to be disturbing again. By the way, sorry Mr. Aronofsky, I just can't watch Requiem for a Dream again, no offense. I love Blade Runner and its sequel. They're slow movies, but miraculously, I could get into them on first watch. How rare is that for everyone else? When I went and saw this film in the theater, I knew it was going to be slow. But that's good. Cyberpunk is supposed to be a philosophical subgenre of escapism. It's not supposed to be action-packed, so. Still haven't watched this yet, heard funny things about it. This movie is kind of in the same vein as Scarface. It's about living the dream and the dream becoming a reality. Except it's not having to do with crime lords, it's having to do with porn stars. This is probably my favorite Paul Thomas Anderson film, and probably everybody else's. So, ooh, now we're going really old school here. The Universal monster movies are classics, but man, they have become cliches in and of themselves. But still, you can't deny these old classics. Check out this glow-in-the-dark edition. The greatest Transformers movie ever made. After having to put up with 10 years of Michael Bay and his bullshit, finally get Bumblebee. My, this movie is weird. Classic comedy, haven't quite watched it all the way through yet. Captain America's in the hizzy. We have the First Avenger, we have Winter Soldier, and we have Civil War. Admittedly, I can't quite get 100% into this one, mostly because of the poker scene, and yeah, I still don't know how poker works yet. And I'm gonna be 30 next year. One of my favorite found footage movies ever. I can relate to the main character of this movie greatly. The starting point of Kevin Smith and Jay and Silent Bob. Why should I even explain why I have this movie? Dia de los Muertos! Coraline, a modern day stop motion classic from Mr. Henry Selick. Basically, this is a sci-fi channel movie done right. I'm also really happy for Barry Pepper, especially being he had to star in that piece of shit Battlefield Earth and also Knockaround Guys. All the grunge kids and goths love this movie. This is some classic comic book fare right here in the 90s when the comic book medium was kind of going to shit. These two Jason Statham movies are so fucking stupid. I love them! This is Alex Proyas's movie After the Crow. I haven't really had a chance to watch it again, and it is a fairly confusing movie, but after a few watches, maybe I'll understand it a little better. I fucking love the Dark Knight trilogy. Not so much the third one. That one's a little too long, but I respect it. Christopher Nolan is the auteur for blockbuster filmmaking nowadays. Everybody has copied him, and every time it just gets more and more depressing, and not in a good way. We were super blessed when this finally came out, and just as excited when the sequel came out as well. Deadpool, thank you for coming. You keep the comic book medium fresh. And they actually let him be rated R. And he's at Disney, and they're still letting him be rated R. How miraculous is that? This is an indie graphic novel adaptation. It tells the story of a teenager in the 70s who's being very sexually explorative, and she's an aspiring writer. So hey, if you love Teenage Rebellion movies, and you love graphic novel adaptations, check this out, please. And don't let the sappy title fool you. This is not an ABC Family movie. Oh wait, it's called Freeform now, ain't it? The Room is a terrible cult classic. The biopic about the making of The Room is an award contender. This thing is both heartbreaking, it's emotional, and it's very, very funny. Neil Blomkamp's directorial debut, Marvel again, Universal Monsters again. I am Dracula. Ha 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 ha. The James Bond movie that started it all. Sean Connery is still the best. Of course, that's personal opinion, but oh, this poor thing. They were actually starting to do Judge Dredd right too, but from what I remember, the marketing was horrible, and therefore this thing failed. But hey, this is the best adaptation we have thus far of Judge Dredd. Even though it may fall short in certain areas, I'm happy with what we got. Another awesome Disney nature documentary. Childhood favorite. This movie is a sad gothic romance tale. It's Tim Burton's Little Child. Musical spoof of Disney movies by Disney, starring Amy Adams. Expendables 2 is my favorite. Didn't really care about the first one. Definitely don't care about the third. Fuck that. This is the first Blu-ray I bought. Fantasia is a classic. It's very trippy. Chernobog is terrifying. As for Fantasia 2000, it just feels too polished compared to the old one. Fast 5, 6, and 7. Rest in peace, Paul Walker. Not the biggest fan of the Fast and Furious series, but starting with Fast 5, that's where they started to turn things up a little. It was no longer about street racing. It was about heist. And hey, we got The Rock in it with baby oil on him. Sorry for those of y'all who can't stand Matthew Broderick because of Godzilla and Inspector Gadget. But you gotta admit, this is a nice comedy classic. Just a mindless gore fest with good suspense at the end. Yeah, these movies are pretty stupid, but this one's probably the best of them. A very underrated John Carpenter horror movie. I know he personally didn't like it at first, but over time, it kind of grew on horror audiences a little, and hey, I love the ambient score. This is Leslie Nielsen before he became known for comedy movies. Sci-fi classic right here from the 50s. Check it out if you're a big sci-fi nerd. Universal Monsters classics again. And now, moving on to the rest of my collection. Okay. Soul Cinema comedy classic. Second movie in the Sean Connery Bond pantheon. And here's another movie that stirred up a ton of controversy, but that's mostly in how much it was promoted. I know y'all are probably sick of this movie being pushed in your face a lot, but from the looks of the Frozen 2 trailer, I'd say it knows you're sick of the first one, and so it's trying to turn things up a bit in terms of story and character. Halloween comedy horror classic. The theme song is even more of a classic. On the side note, that controversial all-female Ghostbusters movie came out when I was in the hospital sick with cancer, so hey, at least cancer saved me from seeing that piece of shit, although I probably wouldn't have watched it anyway. I'm more a fan of Planet Terror than Death Proof. I love rock and roll documentaries. I love The Stooges. I love Iggy Pop. The movie that started it all. The classic movie monster himself in his full nuclear symbolism glory. This is probably the best American Godzilla movie we've got to date. I did not see the newest one, but from what I heard and what I've seen of it, it's basically discount Roland Emmerich. It's him mixed with Christopher Nolan, that's what it is, and it just fails on all levels. But kudos to you if you do like it, though. More Godzilla movies. I bought this one all the way from China. Very underrated Disney classic. Love Vincent Price in the villainous role of Ratigan. I fucking love Gremlins. Like, I love movies like this with such an anarchistic tone, like a bunch of mischievous little shits trying to fuck up a town. Dude, I am down. Fuck the system, man. I love this and its sequel. We really need a third one where the Gremlins all take over the world. Oh, all the gags that'll put out. 90s comedy classic. Pretty much the best Brosnan Bond movie. And it spawned an even better N64 game. The third in the Sean Connery pantheon, I believe. Great times in the theater, man. Great times. Remember when this came out and people never even heard of these guys? Marvel were taking a risk, but hey, paid off. 1978's Halloween. And it's now direct sequel. Don't really care much about the other movies, except maybe if I want to have a nice laugh at some stupid slasher shit. The only worthwhile Hangover movie. Congrats to Todd Phillips for his success with Joker. Being a 420 person, I love Harold and Kumar. I love the first one especially. I've loved it ever since I watched it in 2004. Been obsessed with it since then. The other two, not quite as good. This one especially. But I definitely do like the Christmas themed one. Oh, Ron Perlman, Guillermo del Toro. Those poor souls. Hellboy 3 got scrapped in favor of that piece of shit with David Harbour. Homeward Bound, another movie that has stayed with me since a little kid. I have seen this a million times. Sequel, it's funny, but the dramatic parts don't really work so well. Haven't gotten the third How to Train Your Dragon film on Blu-ray yet, but I do have the first two. These are crowning achievements for DreamWorks, these 3 movies. The best of the Hunger Games saga. Bet you some of y'all forgot about the Hunger Games, huh? It started out pretty good with the first one, got better with this one, but with the third one, just divided it into 2 parts and just fucked up the ending. Like, god damn it. This movie, man, it is confusing as fuck. But I love it. Incredibles 1 and 2. 90s cheese classic right here. Adventure movie classics right here, but hey, ain't Steven Spielberg the king of that? I wish I could get my friend to watch this, but she is extremely scared of clowns. No offense to those who are nostalgic for the old movie, but objectively speaking, it goes on for way too long, and you barely even see Pennywise. Why should I even have to explain this one? Better than the 67 movie. There. I said it. Here's one I've seen way too many times. I just wish we could get a good sequel already. We live in a world where Lego blocks can tell better stories and make better jokes than Michael Bay. Remember Edge of Tomorrow? Yeah! We finally get to see Wolverine cut up people in all his bloody glory. And we have the Lord of the Rings trilogy. The theatrical cuts. The extended cuts are kind of a novelty. My 2 favorite Mad Max movies. I especially love the flame-throwing guitarist in this one. It's not wrong to love Winnie the Pooh. Winnie the Pooh is very philosophical. And also, how can you not love Mary Poppins? The Matrix, yet another generation-defining sci-fi cyberpunk thriller. I watched this all the time back in the 90s. The construction fight scene is the best part of this movie. Everything else is just blech. When the Mission Impossible Tom Cruise movie started to get fucking awesome. One of my favorite recent musicals, Pixar classic. Probably the best Muppets movie ever made. I always have a smile on my face every time I watch this movie. Okay. This is one of the latest projects from Tommy Wiseau. It's this sitcom by him. It's just so hilarious in all sorts of wrong ways. You want to know the plot and characters of this thing? There is no plot. There are no characters. It's nothing. It's just so hilariously nothing. You just wonder how this even got made. I still love you, Tommy Wiseau. This is not the 2010 crappy remake. This is the original. Stupid, dumb, Japanese sci-fi tribute fun. Better than the original by a long shot, even though some of y'all probably don't personally care about this one. First one's always going to be the best. The rest, I don't even know what the fuck is going on in them. The 1968 sci-fi classic Planet of the Apes, and the postmodern classic reboot trilogy. Caesar is one of the best characters of the 2010s. I fucking love him. 80s social satire / superhero mediums at their best. The only thing in this world that gives orders is balls. My Al Pacino impression is bad, but yeah. Not the biggest fan of crime movies, but hey, everyone loves Scarface, and you can see why. Shazam! Stop motion movie. Documentary about grindcore music, which is noise, not music, but it's fun to bang your head to. Seriously, Disney, stop with the Maleficent solo movies. This was introduced to me via my mom and dad. I love Billy Bob Thornton's character in this movie, and Dwight Yoakam is such an asshole. Spider-Man, Spider-Man, does whatever an awesome filmmaker can. This, especially, is destined to become a modern classic. Woo! Star Trek! We got Abrams Star Trek, we got Star Trek 2, 3, 4, 6, 8, Beyond, and Into Darkness. Now we're getting into the really popular nerdy territory, huh? Disney Star Wars! The new trilogy with faster-paced storytelling, better effects, and actual conflict. Even though nobody really ever seems to notice that. I mean, I'm sure these films definitely have their problems, but They're better than the boring-ass politics of the prequels. Oh, this one especially. Again, it's okay if people don't like this one, or even this one, but can we please just stop with the belligerence, please? I may be a metalhead, but I love classic hip-hop too. Good music is good music, no matter where you go. This is probably one of the best newer biopics. I love me some NWA. I love Straight Outta Compton. Can you believe Jonah Hill's now an award-winning actor and a director? And at one point, he was a teen comedy star. The comic book movie that started it all. Fucking love the Terminator movies. Well, the first two. I have seen them, like, way too many times to count during my childhood. This one taught me the F word. I gotta ask, how come this movie did not have Amon Amarth in it? Seriously, for the next Thor movie, Marvel, get Amon Amarth. They'd be a perfect fit. Fucking hilarious movie. Still have yet to get 4, but the Toy Story movies are bona fide A+ pictures. This movie must be really terrible, but hey, I got it signed by Lloyd Kaufman, so another hilariously terrible trauma movie, but of course, again, they're known for that. This is a comic book movie that gets so much better with age. I didn't like it at first because I thought it was going to be a big action movie, but I was too young to get it then. But as I got older, this movie just got better and better and better, and I love the graphic novel too. Best of the vacation movies? Love Viva La Bam. The ultimate cut of this movie, though 3.5 hours long, definitely feels like the best cut of this movie. Oh, check out the HBO series. Fucking awesome. Watched this a lot as a kid. Musical movie classic. I love a good party. I love to have a good time. This movie keeps me in those spirits, even though it's about the debauchery of capitalism. Hey, it can represent anarchism too. I love Mr. Rogers. And I love X-Men! And yeah, that was basically my Blu-ray and couple of DVDs collection. Before we go, let me show you my TV collection here. Got a bunch of anime, Aquarion, got Avengers TV series, got Doom Patrol, haven't watched that yet. Collecting Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z. Actually, I might get those on Blu-ray. Got the first season of The Flash, Gundam, got Mobile Fighter G, Gundam Wing, Sailor Moon, Spawn, Spectacular Spider-Man, got some Super Sentai, Ultraman. Yeah, I'm a super nerd. I got Transformers, and I got the 90s X-Men series. And there's my video games, but we'll touch on that subject another day, hey viewers. So, that was my Blu-ray collection as of November the 6th, 2019. I hope you guys enjoyed. Peace out, and happy aspiring filmmaking.